Well, friends, in this video, we are discussing a model question paper on the appreciating drama and theater. So here in this video, we are going to discuss the first model question paper that is available at the end of the textbook, that is Othello. Well, as far as the questions and their answers are concerned, well, they have been prepared in 8 pages like this, and the link to the PDF is available down here in the description box. You can download the PDF in 8 pages and you can take a printout and you can read it along with this video. Let's take a look at the question. Model question paper number 1. Look at the questions. Well, question number 1 is short answer questions. There are 15 questions. Well, you may answer all the 15 questions because the marks have a ceiling of 25. So if you answer all the questions, you can score all the 25 marks. So question number 1. Well, the first 5 questions are from module number 1. And then there are short answer questions from Othello, the bear, the zoo story, and the man who turned into a stick. Let's take a look at the questions one by one. Question number 1. What is the difference between a simple plot and a complex plot? A simple plot is one in which there is only a single and continuous action. There is one single continuous action. That is a simple plot. It does not have peripeteia and anagnorisis. Peripeteia is the reversal of fortune. The heroes, the protagonists' fortunes are reversed. Well, as far as Othello is concerned, well, at the start of the play, we can see that Othello and Desdemona are having an excellent time. Well, they are freshly married and they are going to Cyprus. And then comes Iago with his villainous role. And as a result, Othello begins to suspect his wife. So a reversal of fortune. The fortunes of the protagonist are reversed, and the anagnorisis is recognition. Towards the end of the play, we can see that the protagonist, Othello, understands everything. A simple plot does not have peripeteia and anagnorisis, whereas a complex plot is one in which either or both of the above, either peripeteia or anagnorisis, or both peripeteia and anagnorisis take place. Question number 2. What is tragicomedy? Give an example. A tragicomedy is a dramatic work that incorporates, that has both tragic and comic elements. Tragicomedies represent a serious action. A tragedy is a serious action that would bring a tragic turn out to the protagonist, to the hero. The audience feel that it is going to turn out to be a tragedy. Yet, the tragedy would be averted by a sudden reversal of circumstance and conclude happily. We might think that it is going to turn out to be a tragedy, but there is a reversal of circumstance and the play ends happily. An example is Shakespeare's The Merchant of Venice. Question number 3. Explain avant-garde. Avant-garde, that is the modern experimental plays. Avant-garde theater is experimental theater where playwrights experimented with revolutionary and non-traditional forms of theater. Revolutionary forms of theater, non-traditional theater that are not traditional, modern. Question number 4. Who are the university wits? When did they live? Remember, the university wits were the contemporaries of Shakespeare. Shakespeare was not a university-educated man, whereas his contemporaries were university-educated men. Those university-educated men were called university wits. The university wits were scholars who were fostered under the atmosphere of either Oxford or Cambridge. They wrote during the last 15 years of the 16th century. They included Christopher Marlowe, Robert Greene, Thomas Nash. Well, these three, Marlowe, Greene and Nash, were scholars from Cambridge. Thomas Lodge and George Peele from Oxford. And Thomas Kidd was not a university graduate. What is Angry Young Man? Cite a famous example and its author, Angry Young Man movement in literature. Well, Angry Young Man was a movement to air the impatience and anger, resentment towards the British orthodoxy and upper class. Look Back in Anger by John Osborne, written in 1956, is an excellent example of the Angry Young Man movement. Question number 6. What is Brabantio's warning to Othello? What is its dramatic significance? Brabantio warns Othello that Desdemona has deceived her own father before. So chances are that she will deceive Othello as well. The words are full of dramatic irony because the subsequent events, the following events, unfold in a similar vein, in a dark environment of suspicion and jealousy. Question number 7. How does Iago bring about the dismissal of Cassio? Iago urges Cassio to drink alcohol because he knows that the latter, that is Cassio, gets drunk easily. Then he provokes him to fight and eventually gets him fired for reckless behavior. Question number 8. What does Iago say about jealousy? Jealousy is a green-eyed monster which makes fun of its victims before devouring it. Question number 9. What does Iago tell Cassio about Othello's trance? Well, Othello falls down in a trance. Then Cassio comes there. What does he say? What does Iago say about that? Iago tells Cassio that Othello has fallen into an epilepsy and it is his second fit. And he says that this is not the first time that he is having this epileptic fit. This is his second fit. He had another one the day before. What happens to Othello at the end of the play? Well, Iago manipulates Othello into makes Othello believe that his wife Desdemona is unfaithful, which stirs Othello's jealousy, which makes him very, very jealous. Othello allows jealousy to consume him, murders Desdemona, and then kills himself. So these are the questions from Othello. Now there are 2 questions from the bear. Question number 11. Who is Smirnov and what is he like in Anton Chekhov's play, The Bear? Smirnov is a landowner who has lent 1,200 rubles to Popo's late husband before he died. Mrs. Popo says he is like a bear, a boor. Question number 12. What causes Mrs. Popo to call Smirnov a bear, a brute, a monster in Anton Chekhov's play? It is Smirnov's filthy appearance and crude and impolite behavior that causes Mrs. Popo to call him a bear, a brute, a monster. Question number 13. Why is Edward Albee's play called The Zoo Story? The zoo constitutes the central symbol of the play. It symbolizes human isolation and absence of contact and communication. The zoo story is concerned with human isolation. Question number 14. In the zoo story, why does Jerry decide to end his life in such a strange way? Jerry's suicide is the last logical item on the list of whatever it takes to take from Peter his ignorance, his indifference, and his complacency, the last thing that he can do in this world is his suicide. Why do people turn into sticks, according to Man from Hell? Well, life has become so unbearable that an act of suicide seems heroic. Well, in a world like, the one in Japan after the Second World War, well, the only heroic thing that a man could think of doing was suicide, because everybody was like a stick. No one can avoid human condition. Man from Hell says that if they don't turn into sticks, maybe they will become rubber hoses. Well, these are the 15 short answer questions. Now let's take a look at the paragraph questions. Question number 1, that is 16. What are the 3 unities? The basic concept of unities can be traced in Aristotle's famous work, Poetics. The 3 unities require a play to have a single action. Number 1, a single action, represented as occurring in a single place. Number 2, so a single action in a single place and within the course of a day, that is 1 day's time. These principles were called the 3 unities: unity of action, a single action; unity of place, that is a single place; and unity of time, that is within 24 hours. The concept of 3 unities was held in high esteem all through the 16th and the 17th centuries in France and Italy. The unities were never strictly followed in the English theatre. Prominent Elizabethan and Jacobean dramatists, including William Shakespeare, often took great liberties. They paid little respect, little attention to the 3 unities in mixing up time and place, in violation of the classical rules. They were experts in violating the classical rules, the 3 unities. Next question. What are the characteristics of the theatre of the absurd? The theatre of the absurd is a post-World War II, the Second World War, post-Second World War designation for particular plays of absurdist fiction, absurdist novels, written by a number of primarily European playwrights in the late 1950s. Adamov, Beckett, Samuel Beckett, Janet, Ionesco, and Pinter. Adamov, Beckett, Janet, Ionesco, and Pinter are the most noticeable names among them. The term, the theatre of the absurd, was coined by Martin Esslin in 1961 in an essay called The Theatre of the Absurd by Martin Esslin. Esslin stated that human condition is essentially absurd, and this condition can be adequately represented only in works of literature that are themselves absurd. The plays focus largely on ideas of existentialism. They portray what happens when human existence lacks meaning or purpose and communication breaks down. Logical construction and argument give way to irrational and illogical speech and to ultimate conclusion, which is silence. That is no speech. Question number 18. What is the significance of the title The Bear by Anton Chekhov? The title of Anton Chekhov's one-act play, The Bear, comes from Mrs. Popo's reference to Mr. Smirnov. It is Mrs. Popo who calls Mr. Smirnov the bear, the boor. She remarks that Smirnov is a crude man, a bear, and a boor who does not know how to treat women. A bear is considered to be an untidy and filthy animal. The physical appearance of Smirno is not much different. Popo says that Smirno is like a brute that does not understand her sad plight, her sad condition. He is disobedient, faithless, and insincere. The title, The Bear, captures the height of the conflict. It is also ironic because the duo, that is Mrs. Popo and Mr. Smirno, eventually falls in love and are found in each other's arms at the end of the play. Question number 19. How does Edward Albee's The Zoo story become a criticism of modern capitalist society? Edward Albee's one-act play, The Zoo Story, is a sharp criticism of the modern American capitalist society. Although the capitalist system is largely based on the actions of individuals, be it consumers or entrepreneurs, it imposes, somewhat paradoxically, a degree of conformity on society. In such a society, there is less room for true individuals. One such social misfit is Jerry. Even when Jerry tries to copy the kind of covetous behavior encouraged by the capitalist system, that is, by fighting Peter over the bench he occupies, he still cannot take his place. So he fights for it. Jerry fights for the place, but still he cannot take his place in society. This theme is also related to alienation, the isolation and loneliness, because Albee establishes the societal pressures of class, the pressures of class in society as the cause of Jerry's suffering. Question number 20. Write a short note on the discussion the man from hell had with the hippie boy and hippie girl. Man and woman from hell have a long discussion with the hippie boy and hippie girl about the stick. They want to know where the hippies found the stick. The hippies want to know if they are police, assuring them that they are not, that they are not police. They ask the hippies for the stick. Boy does not trust them. He calls them liars. He also accuses them of throwing the stick at them and trying to suppress evidence. Man from hell asks what he intends to do with the stick. What is his aim? He asks. The boy says he is not interested in aims. Man from hell offers the money for the stick. Hippie boy refuses. He becomes scared, afraid, frightened of the stick. Finally, he tells man from hell that he will give him the stick for $5. He says that he is selling the stick because he doesn't want to sell the stick. He is selling the stick because he doesn't want to sell the stick, he says. Question number 21 from Othello. The handkerchief as a symbol in Othello. The handkerchief was Othello's first gift to Desdemona. She keeps it about her constantly as a symbol of Othello's love. For Othello, the handkerchief is a symbol of her faith and chastity. But Iago manipulates things in such a way that the handkerchief becomes an ocular proof, a proof that one can see with one's eyes of Desdemona's infidelity. The importance of the handkerchief to Iago and Desdemona is based on its value to Othello himself. Othello tells Desdemona that the handkerchief, it was woven by a 200-year-old Sibyl, a 200-year-old holy woman, using silk from sacred worms, maybe worms from heaven, and dye, the color, extracted from the hearts of mummified virgins. Othello tells her that his mother used the handkerchief to keep his father faithful to her. So naturally, the handkerchief to Othello symbolizes marital fidelity faithfulness in marriage. The strawberry pattern, the picture of the strawberry on the handkerchief, on the white handkerchief, what is its significance? It is an image. It is an image of the chastity of the wife, an image for the blood stains on the sheets of a virgin's wedding night. Hence, for these reasons, the handkerchief stands for a guarantee of virginity and faithfulness, marital fidelity. Now, next question, 22. What is the significance of the willow song in Othello, that beautiful song, the willow song in Othello? The willow song in Act 4, Scene 3 is an instance of subtle foreshadowing. It tells us what is going to happen in future. Subtle foreshadowing of the play's tragic ending, especially Desdemona's impending death. Desdemona sings for Emilia a song called Willow about a lover who becomes mad. It foreshadows Othello's madness at the end of the play. Desdemona says that her mother's maid died while singing the song. It again foreshadows that Desdemona will soon die as well. She misremembers. She doesn't remember well. She remembers wrongly. One line singing, "Let nobody blame him, his scorn I approve." That is the line that she remembers wrongly. She recites wrongly. This wrongly remembered line foreshadows Desdemona's dying words, in which she attempts to make the blame for her own murder. She says, "I myself am responsible for my death." Following his mistress's death, Emilia recalls the song and asks, with the clarity of hindsight, "Well, what did the song bode, lady? What was the meaning of the song?" Question number 23. Write a brief appreciation of Shyama Prasad's Akale, the film by Shyama Prasad. Well, the film Akale by Shyama Prasad is an adaptation of the famous American drama The Glass Menagerie by Tennessee Williams. The film closely follows the drama, yet it is unique. It is something different. All the four characters are brilliantly portrayed. The film can be viewed as a tragedy of moving away from reality into a world of fantasy, and the ultimate fall awaits such people. The tragic failure of the characters stands bleakly, darkly against the backdrop of the American dream of success, profit and glory, the American success story of capitalism. S. Kumar's cinematography is excellent in creating the mood of a lost era. The selection of location of Calcutta has rendered an ambience of past nostalgia and lost glory. These are the paragraph questions. Now, there are 4 essay questions. Write essays on any 2 of the following. Well, there are 4 questions. You can write any 2. Let's discuss all the 4 questions. Well, look at the first essay question. Consider Othello as a Shakespearean tragedy. Well, the essay has been prepared in 5 paragraphs. The first paragraph, an introduction, and the 5th paragraph, a conclusion, and paragraph number 2, 3, and 4 are the body of the essay. Paragraph number 1. A Shakespearean tragedy is essentially a tale of suffering and calamity, conducting to death. Othello is one of the great tragedies. That is one of the 4 great tragedies by Shakespeare. A typical Shakespearean tragedy is the story of a single star. Well, hero, the protagonist, is a single star, which leads up to and includes the death of the hero. The tragic hero has an exceptional nature. Well, there is a peculiar trait of his character, a special character, the tragic flaw, FLAW, the defect in his character, which brings ruin upon him. Well, that defect, that trait in his character is responsible for his tragedy. There is also a tragic relationship between the hero and his environment, the fate, the role of fate. So this is the first paragraph. So 3 points. Number 1, about the hero, the single star. Number 2, about the tragic flaw. Number 3, about the role of fate, destiny. Paragraph number 2. As in other great tragedies, the hero, the protagonist, Othello, is a person of high degree because he is a general, a military general. He is a great military general of the Venetian army. Despite being a foreigner, well, he is a black Negro. He has won this coveted post, this envious post, by his excellence, by his expertise, military, warfare expertise in military warfare, in the field of war. He is an eloquent, physically powerful, and a highly respected figure. He has courage, Othello has courage, intelligence, command, and the respect of his troops. When Cyprus comes under threat by an enemy, the Duke of Venice, appoints the valiant Othello to lead the defense. He suffers greatly, and his fall, his tragedy, affects the entire Venetian state. The tragic hero in Shakespeare has an exceptional nature. He has a peculiar trait in his character, which is known as the tragic flaw, FLAW, a defect in his character. He has an obsession which attains in him a terrible force, which brings about his tragedy. Othello is a tragic hero because of his tragic flaw, which is his jealousy and his gullibility, his gullible nature. He very easily falls a prey to others' machinations. Being a black Moor among the whites, his feeling of insecurity, he feels that he's always insecure. Also add to his weakness, his vulnerability. He falls a prey to others' machinations very easily. His vulnerability makes him an easy target for Iago to manipulate his mind. He begins to believe that he's not good enough for Desdemona. Well, Desdemona is a white angelic beauty, whereas he's a dark Moor. She's gone. I am abused, and my relief must be to loathe her, to hate her. He allows himself to invite his own destruction. He himself is responsible for his destruction. The role of fate. Fate places the hero in just those circumstances and situations which he is incapable of dealing with. So, the flaws, the defects in his character becomes very, very fatal, deadly for the hero only in the particular circumstances in which the cruel destiny has placed him. Othello can confront his fate only with the best of his humanity. In his final speeches, Othello brings again a flash of his former greatness, his military glory, his loyalty to Venice, the intensity of his love to Desdemona, and his terrible realization that by killing Desdemona, he has destroyed the best in himself. No man has full control over his life. And now, the last paragraph, the conclusion, to sum up. A Shakespearean tragedy is a tale of a single star leading to his death. Othello is one of Shakespeare's 4 great tragedies. A typical Shakespearean tragedy is a story of a single star which leads up to and includes the death of the hero. The tragic hero has a defect in his character which causes the catastrophe. Cruel fate also plays its part in the tragedy. So this is the first essay. Now, question number 25, the second essay. The Bear is a light-hearted satire of the ways of the Russian aristocracy. Elucidate. Now look at the answer. Anton Chekhov's one-act play, The Bear, is a light-hearted satire of the ways of the Russian aristocracy. It revolves around three characters: Mrs. Popov, a widow, Mr. Smirnov, a landowner, and Luka, a servant of Mrs. Popov. Popov is a widow whose husband died 7 months ago. She has been brooding over, that is lamenting, over his death since then. She has cut off herself from the outside world and ordered Luka, her servant, not to allow anybody to see her. Luka advises her that she should change her decision. No, this is very bad. Come on, don't do it. He tells her to visit the neighborhood. Come on, go around and meet the young army officers, as she is still very young and can attract many young people. But Popov remains unchanged. No, she is not ready to change. At this time, Smirnov enters Popov's house. Next paragraph. He is another wealthy landowner, lives by borrowing and lending money. He had lent 1,200 rubles to Popov's late husband before he died. He demands the money at once. Popov tells him that she has no money at the moment. She will pay the money when her manager comes back. But Smirnov refuses to leave her house until she pays the money. Now, Smirnov says he will leave only after getting the money from Mrs. Popov. Next paragraph. Both Popov and Smirnov, they are very, very stubborn, unyielding. They are not ready to change. She calls him a coarse bear. Smirnov criticizes women in general. Smirnov calls women insincere, cruel, and vain. Popov, in turn, calls men cruel and faithless. She says her own late husband had illegal relations with many women. He was also insincere. Smirnov behaves rudely, and Popov tells him that decent people do not behave with women in this rough manner. No, it is very bad to behave to women like this. They angrily engage in a verbal duel, a verbal fight, a war of words, to be followed by an actual duel. Come on, let us fight. The play has a farcical end. To see that Popov and Smirnov are in each other's arms. They are embracing each other and kissing each other. The play closes on a very, very hilarious, humorous note. Well, the last paragraph. The Bear is an excellent satire on the insincere ways of the Russian upper class. All the characters become butts of ridicule in the eyes of the audience. Now the third essay, number 26. The major themes of Kobo Abe's one-act play, The Man Who Turned Into a Stick, are: number 1, alienation; number 2, satisfaction; number 3, aimlessness; and number 4, death. Explain. These are the major themes. Explain. So write a small paragraph about each theme, and which will be then put an introduction and a conclusion. That will be the essay. Introduction. A variety of themes run through The Man Who Turned Into a Stick. The play is subtitled Death, so it has a subtitle, Death. Molded in the frame of existentialism and the theatre of the absurd, the play treats themes such as alienation, satisfaction, aimlessness, and death. Well, this is the introduction. Paragraph number 2. about alienation. Now, alienation is a theme that runs throughout the play. In Hippie Girl and Hippie Boy, it is specifically expressed by the girl when she declares that there is a generation gap between them and the man and woman from hell. There is also a problem of communication between the father, that is a stick, and his son. Another form of alienation is the conflict between inner and outer realities. Man from hell believes that her emotions, that the emotions of the woman from hell are a distraction, and that she should learn to control or eliminate her feelings. Next paragraph, aimlessness. Aimlessness is another theme under discussion. Hippie boy and hippie girl talk about aims. They state that they have no aims. Aims are out of date, states the girl. Man from hell tries to use their aimlessness to his advantage by persuading the hippie couple to give the stick to him. Man from hell says that he has an aim. He has a job to do. However, he tries to awaken the audience by pointing out their lack of idealistic aims, thus assuring that they will be turned into sticks. Next paragraph. Then there is the imminent death of the man who has turned into a stick. There is also an overtone of impending mortality, that is death, for everyone. That is, everyone will be turned into a stick at the end. Through the awareness of death, Abe hopes to awaken his audience. People are compelled to look at the nature and condition of their lives, to reflect, to think on the quality of their life choices. Abe's own life was marked with many scenes of death. The war in Manchuria, his own father's death, and the bombing raids on Hiroshima and Nagasaki. His awareness of death, Abe's awareness of death, prompted him to see life with fresh eyes. Now look at the last paragraph about satisfaction. Satisfaction is yet another theme in the play. Man from hell states that the people turn into sticks because they are satisfied. For Abe, satisfaction, well, it represents the status quo, a state of mind that is frozen, accepting things as they are without searching for improvement. So there is no satisfaction after all. So that's the essay. Now, here is the last essay. Discuss the presentation and role of the supernatural elements in Macbeth as presented by Roman Polanski, which is a film based on William Shakespeare's famous drama Macbeth. Well, the essay has been prepared in 5 paragraphs. Paragraph number 1. Polanski's film Macbeth is set in medieval times in the 15th and 16th century, approximately the 15th century. The opening scenes of the film establish a strong connection with the audience in terms of introducing the supernatural, because at the beginning of the play we can see the supernatural, the 3 witches, the characters, the plot, the context in which the film is set. It is paragraph number 1. Paragraph number 2. The introductory shot, that is the opening of the play, the opening of the film, presents 3 witches. Well, it is the same as in the play. The witches play a very significant part in the controlling the events which unfold in the film. The witches gather, they come together on a rugged coast against a backdrop of a raging storm. There's a storm and a tearing ocean, a violent sea. The theme is established as the witches possessively chant, they sing a supernatural song. The camera draws in on the witches' physical characteristics, and the hand that they are burying in the hand is buried in the sand. It introduces a feeling of reality. Now, paragraph number 3. As the witches' images fade, The audio of a raging battle, there is a battle, becomes the main focus of the audience. The audio, the sound, the audio piece sets the scene and establishes a context and theme within the film. The audience is immediately drawn into an unsettled world of violence, commotion, and conflict, which are the key elements in Polanski's interpretation of the Macbeth. Next paragraph. The witches are consistently portrayed as dark and eerie, very unnatural, and eccentric women. Their appearance portrays them as outlaws, as not good people, outlaws from society, as does their isolated presence. The witches and events that relate to their prophecies are constantly accompanied by fierce weather and darkness, a representation of disruption. That is, everything is unsettled, everything is in disorder, and an unnatural balance. And here's the last paragraph. The witches, they speak in rhyme, in verse, in song, so they appear to be possessed of a supernatural being. Similarly, the witches represent the ancient tale of the three monkeys, the famous three monkeys. See no evil, speak no evil, hear no evil. In contrast to their supernatural features, constant physical factors are alluded to create the idea of reality. On the whole, the witches and their significance is more effectively highlighted in the film than in the play. This is the end of the first model question paper based on appreciating drama and theater. I am sure that this is going to help you a lot in writing an excellent examination. We'll have one more model question paper in the next video. Remember, the notes, the questions, and as well as the answers are uploaded, and the link is given in the description box below. So take a printout and you can read this along with this video. It will help you a lot. So that's it. Thank you very much and best wishes.